are again, folks. I just wanted to get some undercarriage look arounds before I removed it all, and so you can kind of see how ancient this old thing is. Been around, done a good job. It's time to make it new. So anyhow, there are quite a few years of crud and grime and rust. Don't freak out about the blocks on the lift. It's actually pretty stable. And this lift is oddly stable, considering it's not bolted to the floor. It rolls around. It's pretty cool. It's made by Ideal, if anybody's interested. 120 volt, plugs into the wall. Super simple to put together. It was heavy. Have to have a cherry picker to assemble it, but and some big Allen sockets. But it's saved my back and my legs, I know that. Drive shaft looks like it's about rusted through in places. We're getting new springs. Front and rear diff rebuild. Engine transaxle, or not transaxle, but transfer case is going to get rebuilt. Not by me, but transmission shop. Probably end up going through the transmission. I believe that is a GM transmission. I won't know until I clean all the crap off so I can read that. But it looks like a 400 turbo, but we'll see. It's got a vacuum actuated, if you can see that. That is the actuator that shifts it, controls pressure, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. So this is definitely one of the older trucks. They went to the 747 torque flight, I believe it was. Later on, it has a shift mechanism that bolts to the side of the block on the bell housing there that controls shift pressures and passing gear, whatnot. So we don't have any of that. So this is definitely an older version. Blurry on me, sorry about that. It's getting headers, so all this exhaust is going to get thrown out. So anyway, just thought I'd give you a look around. There's a huge rust hole above the gas tank. I can't show you from here, but the back floorboard is gone right in here. And it appears that the frame on these trucks is just a little bit shorter than the new, well, not new, but newer, from like 84 through 90. When was it, 94 or 96 when they quit making these things? But anyway, this frame is a little shorter. It appears to be anyway. Because usually my lift pads with it all the way in will sit like here and on the lift pad here. And as you can see, it's pushed all the way in. All the way in, and it's still not going to line up. So these frames, they have to be a little bit shorter. So I mean, I've had 5 or 6 of these trucks on here, and that's the first time I've had an issue with that not being in the right place and had to use blocks. But anyway, next time you see, I'll show you the empty engine bay. I'm actually going to have to make a bracket to hold the transmission in place while we ship it off to get the under hood sandblasted, painted, and cleaned up, so when I put the new engine and stuff in, it looks new. So here we go. As you can see, the engine has not jumped time. This customer could not get it to run, he said, so it was either a fuel or ignition issue. It looked like he'd been working on the ignition. I think I showed you guys the distributor, so the gear was not stripped. There's definitely focus. It's just not going to focus. There we go. As you can see, the gear's got some wear, but it's not wore out. Let's back up here. There you go. Quite a bit of slack. Could have jumped time soon, but it hasn't. If you look here, you can see this 0 straight up, and the dot on the crank is also straight up. If you ever put one of these in, I know General Motors is this way, if you put it dot to dot here, you'll be exactly 180 degrees out on your timing, so when you drop the distributor in, it'll be 180 degrees off, because this camshaft needs to turn. That should be compression right there on number 1 cylinder, and I think AMC's the same way. It's been a while since I put a timing gear on one of these, but anyway, always the best way to check is once you get the engine installed, instead of dropping the distributor in right away, if you're not sure, you can actually turn this with the crank bolt and hold your finger down in the number 1 cylinder, and when it starts going and pushing your finger back, that's your compression stroke. I could actually show you that, but it's really not that important. This engine's garbage anyway. We're going back with a 401. See the pile of garbage laying there on the floor that come off of this thing. A lot of this stuff is not reusable. The harmonic balancer, the dampening ring inside of it is coming apart. As you can see, dry rot, see all the cracks. That thing could literally come off and go through his new radiator, so we're not reusing that. Engine mounts are hard as a rock. Starters got stuff melted and running off of it. It's been so hot from trying to crank it. I mean you can just see all this stuff is just junk. A lot of it I can clean up and reuse. I might be able to clean that front pulley with sandblaster, or take it down to the machine shop and get them to bead blast it. But anyway, it's hanging here, as you can see. Got most of it stripped off. We're not reusing exhaust. I don't believe we're reusing the intake. I know we have Hedman headers, and I'm pretty sure he bought another intake. So what you see here is pretty much going to the junk scrap pile, which is, I got a bunch of it over there. And he had an ignition module meltdown. That's what that is on the fender there. All that tar melted out of it and just run down the fender. So he's definitely had electrical issues. That's usually caused by a short. So anyway, I got the condenser, everything's out of the front. Pulled the grill. That exhaust was not fun to get apart. It's, yeah, anyway, not fun. So I'm glad we're going back with headers. And that is definitely a Hydromatic General Motors transmission. And I think it's a 400 turbo, but I'd have to take the actual pan off the bottom and see what the valve body looks like. But it's definitely General Motors production transmission. Anyway, got the power steering capped off. I'm going to plug the brake booster, which I think it's bad anyway. It's probably going to need to be replaced. It's getting a complete brake upgrade. There it is. Rotten wiring, rust. Ew. There's that red cap I was looking for. Hey. Alright guys. Rusty, lots of rust.